I love a good lamb roast. I've got a really easy, not really easy, but it's a pretty simple recipe for you today. It just takes a little bit of cooking time. As long as you're prepared, it'll be really good. So I've got an alternative to using a zester for you as well, which is a peeler. I'm just going to take a couple of strips and then using a nice sharp knife, cut it as fine as you can. And then you can use that instead of a microplane. So I've got a lovely leg of lamb, and there's something really, really nice to me about cooking meat on the bone. It tends to maintain a lot more flavour and a lot more character. There's something a little bit more primitive about it, a bit of Game of Thrones action about it. Alright, so our lamb, a good bit of salt, and just rub it in a little bit. Be a little bit generous because it will fall off as it cooks. Pepper. And then some extra rosemary over the top. Just pull it, don't worry about chopping this. And now lemon. And if you've got the luxury of using a microplane, you can do that as well. Cover this, a bit of foil, and then get this in the oven. Just check it after about 15-20 minutes, make sure it's not, everything's falling off. And maybe if you're a bit nervous, chuck a little bit of water in there, it'll just help create a bit of steam into the oven. So our lamb was in the oven for 1 hour. I took the foil off, added in some pumpkin, carrots and parsnips. You can use any veg you want here. It doesn't have to be those ones, any of your favourites. And I added 3 bulbs of garlic, Australian garlic. I think it has a much better flavour. And roasted them for about 30 minutes until the cloves are really soft. And it's really important that they're quite soft at this point. So now, the slightly more complicated part. We've got to get our garlic out. Just be careful, it is pretty hot. And now we want to split this garlic. I'm using a serrated knife, you don't have to, it just makes it a little bit easier. Oh, you can smell that roasted garlic flavour, it's amazing. When garlic is roasted, it has a really lovely, sweet, nutty flavour to it. Now, you're going to get your hands a little bit dirty here, but that's okay. You might want to let this cool just for 10 minutes just to make it a bit easier to handle. Because it is quite warm. But trust me, this will be worth it. You should serve this to your friends who say they don't like garlic. After this, I reckon they'll change their mind. Okay, so as the garlic's really soft, we can just use a fork to make a lovely paste. Into there. A little bit of honey. This is just going to help caramelise when we get it back into the oven. Pinch of salt. And then onto our lamb. Just remove some of these darker bits of lemon peel or rosemary. And then put our garlic paste onto the lamb. This is going to transfer our lamb from being a normal roast lamb into spectacular roast lamb. Okay, I'm going to get this back into the oven. So we've had our lamb out, it's rested for about 30 minutes. Now I've strained off the juices into a pan. I've added a little bit of flour, a little bit of chicken stock, and cook that out so it's nice and thick. Now we've put a little bit of brown sugar in here just to add a bit of sweetness. If you want, you can add some vinegar as well if you need a bit of sharpness. Gravies are all about your own personal taste, so if you want to adjust it in any way, you can. And then you end up with a nice, lovely, thick consistency. Now this lamb with the roast garlic, when you roast garlic nice and slow like that, releases a lot of sweetness, becomes an amazing flavour. So much different to raw garlic. You'll really impress your friends with this. This is probably one of my favourite roast lamb dishes.